Soon you will find out the man that I'm supposed to be. What a bam bam. 1966, that was 56 years ago.
You know, Garth, well, first of all, let me just use the opportunity to say good afternoon and welcome again to all our listeners out there to Sunday Scoops, and a program where we try to dive into the history of the music. And this week we want to focus our attention on the whole Jamaica Festival Song Contest. Of course, we want to use the program to revisit some of the songs, but most importantly, what we want to do with this particular program is to feature some of the, well, certainly we're going to try to feature the all 10 festival songs, songs that have been entered for this year's competition. Of course, there has been some controversy surrounding this our 60th year contest, and we would like to think that at this point that they've resolved the issues, we can bring these songs to the listeners out there, so you can take your pick, take your choice, and certainly we want to help to get you into the festival mode. The 1966 entry that you just played, Garth, with Toots and the Maytals, the group, brand new, young, you know, as you always say, the breast milk upon the mouth corner at the time.
But them telling them about Similac.
Right. Yeah, it was just breast milk. But, you know, the group was young, and this was really what helped to launch Toots and the Maytals. But the Festival Song Contest came, what was it, 4 years after the launch of the whole concept of Jamaica Independence Festival, you know, and I think more than anything else.
Yeah, there were two songs in 1962 that kind of heralded the whole independence spirit,
right?
Which was Derek Morgan's Forward March, and Lord Creator had another song, Independent Jamaica.
Absolutely, which I think we should give the listeners a little taste of, even though they were not, at the time, classified as festival songs. Independence is good for the young and the old.
And your children, and your children too.
And your children too, yeah.
Yes.
Notice it, children, right?
Yes, and if you unite, it will be for our success and progress.
You know though, guys, it's as simple as that song sounds, it tells a massive part
history
of the history of thing. We take a lot of things for granted, just like how we take our athletes for granted, we take our music for granted. You know, we take this whole independence thing.
And Lord Creator wasn't even Jamaican.
No, it came from Trinidad, and basically stuck it out, participated in our celebrations and so on. But, you know, you're listening to that story, and it speaks volumes. Here's
talk
Jamaica.
About the West Indies Federation. Talk about Norman Manley.
People need to understand the story, the history behind all of that, because it was the scuttling of federation that led eventually to
and
Jamaica.
Then they went back later on and picked it up and created the European Union.
Well, they used that outside of the region, because you're right, the European Union was fashioned after federation, and look at what it has done for Europe, especially ensuring the economic stability of the European region, while we're still struggling. In fact, we replaced federation with CARICOM eventually.
Which is a watered-down version.
Well, it's even worse, because you can't even trade a bag of rice between one island to the next without it causing a problem.
And it's interesting too, the passport says CARICOM country, but as a Jamaican citizen entering into Trinidad or any of the other countries, sometimes the hoops you have to jump through.
Trust me, I've done it several times, and so a big part of it to have to do with your standing and so on. But, you know, without getting into the weeds too much, the reality though is...
Getting into the weed, Richard.
Yeah, into the weed, you're right. But, you know, the stories, the history embedded in this whole period is something that I think all of us as Jamaicans really need to take some time to appreciate.
You know, the other thing to Richard, sorry to cut you off. Just a thought that came to mind, you know. We look at this whole festival song competition, and every time we do it, I'm questioning, why are we telling the same story over and over again?
And I can
But
answer
the
that.
thing, go ahead.
I can answer that. You mean telling the same stories through the songs, etc.?
No, just telling the same independent story. I mean, every year we do it. I mean, we have a new set of songs
It is.
to
It is
introduce.
It's important that we do it because we can't take it for granted that you and I, because we have lived over the period that the generations that is following us are aware. The reason why the Jews have been so successful in terms of indoctrinating their young about the Holocaust is because they never miss an opportunity
to tell
that story. And that is why it is important that we understand where we're coming from.
And the importance of repetition.
Absolutely. Now, festival, remember, was birthed out of the independence period. Is very, very important. The whole independence thing came about. We gained independence in 1962. Of course, we are 60 years this year, a significant milestone. But a lot of the celebrations that came with what subsequently became festival came afterwards, and so it is up to us now to tell those stories and to continue the celebration, right? Seaga would have been Minister of Development at the time, the Honorable Edward Philip George
Seaga.
Right, and so he, what he would have done as a Minister of Development is initiate. Well, he basically melded a lot of these organizations because a lot of people seem to think or to give the impression that a lot of this was actually created by Edward Philip George Seaga himself, but that is not exactly true. For example, the festival song thing was just a broadening on the celebrations that were in existence at the time, and because you had a mentor song competition that was running and had been running for years, and so what they did is that they brought all of these things together under a particular umbrella. By the mid to late 1960s, they had a commission that was set up in 65, 66 that gave birth to the festival song contest, and by 1968 that was formed into the Jamaica Festival Commission, which provided oversight for a lot of the festival. 66 was Toots. Let's look at, since we don't want to lose the listeners, look at the songs that followed immediately. And the period of the 60s, the music was, in my opinion, perhaps at its richest, if you will.
So what I'm going to do, Richie, is just run up 68, 69, and 70.
All right.
And then we'll get back to talking about the rest of the songs, because I know most of us are chomping at the bits to get to the top 10
Absolutely.
entrants.
Yeah.
But we're going to start out with 1967, the big bad hit, Baba Boom. Yes, and you have Unity, and I took the liberty of playing a couple second place winners, because those songs, like Move Up in 1968, that was third place. The second place was Roy Shirley Golden Festival, but I played Unity, 1967, Intensified, 1968, Sweet and Dandy, 1969, and Hopton Lewis and the Chosen Few, Boom Shakalaka in 1970. By the way, Sweet and Dandy was done by Toots and the Maytals, Move Up was Alan the Vibrators, and Intensified was Desmond Decker and the Aces.
Important information on that, God, because one of the things especially for the younger people who, you may be familiar with some of the festival song winners, but certainly what made those contests intriguing during those years would have been the absolute.
And I have a browse that I'm picking. I'm going to pick it again. I think I do it every year. Mm-hmm. There's no way, Richie, when I search on the internet or anywhere, that there's any record of second or third place winners. Everybody just have the winner up there.
And that is something that we
need to address that seriously.
Absolutely. And I think part of that too comes to how we interact with for example, the Cultural Development Commission.
culturally favor the winners anyway now. Nobody
True.
remember second and third place. Everybody else remember the winner.
Yeah, but the people who are writing and producing and presenting that history have a responsibility to provide all of the information. And I believe that information is there. The contests were always conducted under the auspices of the Jamaica Festival Commission. And I think they changed the name eventually and became the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. But I'm pretty sure that if we reach out to them, because it's an anomaly in our history.
But on the website to reach out, it's not on there.
Yeah, but that's because we have not. What we need to do is to we're researching, and we need to represent it.
So we're appealing to you.
Yeah, I think I should pronounce her name Bisesa, but that's a different discussion. Important again that we again in terms of just appreciating the value of festival, because it's not a shot in the dark kind of arrangement. Remember, Jamaica existed long before 1962, and people were celebrating and finding reasons to enjoy themselves prior to. In fact, according to the scribes, the festival celebrations go back to as far back as 1897, when we had these what we call these colonial funded programs, what we called you had these what we call commemorative programs. I think in 1897 it would have marked Queen Victoria's 60th year on the throne, and that basically created a whole jubilee celebration, throughout the Commonwealth that she would have been responsible for. And out of a lot of that would have been born some of these celebrations. And as we moved through time, by the time we got to the 1960s, we became independent. A lot of these celebrations took on more of a Jamaican flair. And that is because you now had Jamaicans who were preparing the celebrations and involved with creating the programs and implementing them. And a lot of these people like Hugh Nash, Coverley, people like even the same Miss Lou. You look at personalities like Ronnie and Lou and
yes, Miss Lou and Masteran.
Miss Lou and Masteran, right, or Bim and Bam and so on. So those people were part of our entertainment culture in the time. And by the time we got into the 1960s, where music now became, or recorded music became a feature of the emerging Jamaica, they appended that to include the festival song. One final point I want to touch on too is that in the 1960s, the whole festival song contest, again according to the scribes, by 64, 65, it had become clear that the independence, the kind of progression that was articulated by the promise of independence was materializing. And so there was the need arose to try to get people to start develop
to include the rest of the country.
Right, and also the nationalism. There was this drive towards nationalism. And so the festival song contest was formed for that reason, that it became an intrinsic part of our celebration. It's not something that we should take for granted, which will lead us into the discussion about this year's festival song contest and the plan, or the what seemed to have been a plan to scuttle the whole festival thing. I call it a scuttling because you can't tell me that a country that has produced so many genres of music to the world, we couldn't find 20 songs from Jamaicans who have contributed so much in terms of song and so on. I think it's a good sign that the ministry could have turned back, go back round and go deal with the address the issue and turn the thing around. But back to
one of the things too, that apart from getting the Jamaican populace, or what I liked about how they went about it, was the whole island tour. Once they had the contestants, the final 10, they went on an island tour. And so you had these street dances that happened. And as a little kid, I remembered as a little kid, just going to these different street dances and getting a chance to see the actual musicians And from probably about 12 o'clock in the day, you start seeing the stage being set up in the square. At this time, it was Colville Square in Manchester. And you're looking forward to that night. And so what that did was create this whole aura, which created nostalgia that people my age and those who are older, holding on to these for at least the first 20 years of the music up to about 1986, where you look forward. And then the big grand finale in Kingston by the National Stadium, with the effigies going down Mountain View Avenue and turning on Arthur Wint Drive. And the effigies would be of Shearer, Bustamante, and all these figures, the national heroes, with the floats and the parade. The whole, it is just, you have to be there to really appreciate it. And I think that's something that we should get back to, that brings that national pride that people look forward to at this time of the year.
But again, as you pointed out, one of the things that you talked about is, this the history and so on and so forth. That is what this reminder, this annual reminder is all about, because it basically forces people to go back and take a look at where we're coming from to get a better understanding of, because you really can't go forward if you don't know where you come from. But again, we're kind of running up on a break. Don't wanna, we have a whole heap of music that we want to play. Especially we want to feature the 10 finalists for this year, but we also want to regale our listeners to with some of the what we know, what people recognize as the big festival song. So, Mr. G.
Yeah, man. We're still on the break, Richie. We'll just look, and when we come back from the break, I'll get right into 1971 up to about 76. Yes, so we basically presented from 1971, and I threw a couple of second place. I don't think Toots placed second, I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go ask Dr. Howard about that. But Cherry O Baby, 1971, Teacher by Toots and the Maytals. Cherry O Baby was done by Eric Donaldson, which became a big international hit. 1972, Pumps and Pride, Toots and the Maytals. I didn't play the Eric Donaldson Blue Boot. But 1973 was Marvin Brooks with Jump in a Line, Festival Time. And 1974, Stinger Stewart's big bad hit, Play the Music, with Turnell McCormack and the Cordels, Irie Festival. I played the second place winner. Hooray Festival, Roman Stewart, and then Freddie McKay's Dance This Festival. And Richie, I know you're going to say something, but let me say this real quick.
Yeah, man.
What I like about the Dance This Festival, the lyrics kind of gave you an idea of what was being worn at the time. Big heel boot, of course, talking about platform shoes, bellfoot pants, and calico shirt. At that time, the calico cloth made a big comeback, and you could make a dashiki shirt and all of them things there out of that. That being said, Richie, over to you.
Hello. Magic, you saw him jump, run, gone to. I'm telling you. But seriously, 1976, with that song, Big heel boot and a bellfoot pants. There are a couple of things that was happening. It was the year of Carry Festa, and Carry Festa was being held here there in Jamaica at the time.
And I made sure not to play that song.
Because Jacob Miller did a big song, that thing. Now, I want to go back to this whole concept of festival, because at the time when all of these programs were developing, this whole festival movement, especially in that 1960s period, it was a time when we did not have the impact of this political divide that literally split the country into two. That's one. And most importantly, and coming out of that, was that people worked together to make this thing happen. A lot of these celebrations that we have, or anywhere you go in the world where you have big national celebrations, you really need the participation of the public. And it cannot be partisan, because once you get down the road where we start to look at one political side versus the next, you lose the joy of the thing.
Because festival is for the people.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we seem to have lost over the years, in my opinion, is this ability to either bring the divide together so that we look at stuff as a country and not along the sides of political tribes. And I think to a large extent, this is what has kind of, caused the whole festival concept to wane, because in the 1970s we went down the political chasm divide, and I don't think we have recovered from it. To a large extent, to a lot of the people who have done well for themselves seem to forget where we're coming from. The whole festival movement, apart from the whole idea of creating this feel-good thing, was also designed to allow the small man to get a taste of, what the stage felt like, what it was to be part of a process that was bigger than himself. Implicit in the creation of the festival song contest, that was one of it. In fact, remember, these contests were born out of the older concept of the Virgin's opportunity thing, where you use the opportunity to elevate people who would not normally have been part of the framework, the musical framework, and so you gave them a taste. The festival song, over the years, if you look at some of the people whom it spawned, Eric Donaldson became a massive success.
Yeah. Toots and the Maytals.
Toots and the Maytals, whether we want to like it or not. Toots, granted, they've been singing before, but they came to prominence.
It endeared them to the eyes of the Jamaican
Absolutely.
people.
And so that was a big part of the purpose of festival. And so that's why the songs, the ethos behind it was to create the kind of lyrics that G the people up, that get people to kind of just focus on the enjoyment. And if nobody remember the song the next morning after festival, nothing wrong with that, right? Granted, some songs have just become eternal and stayed with
festival
you. Absolutely.
Is one of them. That year too, Derek Morgan had a big hit too, Festival 10, But I want to play that song, Richie, All Night Till Daylight, that Jacob Miller.
That's
it is
classic.
Played as a festival song, but it is not a festival song, it's a Carrie Festa song. And let's hit up.
The thing though, God, if we, just on reflection, there is hardly any music out there that is 100% brand new in terms of, new musical arrangements and so on. So I'm not particularly surprised that there is some level of sampling. The sampling though is not in some instances even masked, but notwithstanding, good effort, eh?
Yeah, man. So far, the production is pretty good, and I like the lyrical content. Some of them, like this guy, brick by brick, when build Jamaica back brick by brick like Martha, we mix it, and Nitty Kutchi, of course, defend Jamaica.
I think
and Nitty Kutchi is no stranger to dancehall
and entertainment. Yeah. But I think more importantly, though, is that the artists seem to all be following a particular theme. Holding on to that celebration theme.
Proud
on the
Jamaican,
one hand,
bring back the love,
bring
Jamaica
back the,
sweet again.
Ease off with the violence.
Yep.
Defend the country reputation. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, here's a country that has given six genres of music to the world. Officially, yeah. We could find more. But we just want to focus on those six. We've been in this business of creating music for ourselves as far back as 1959. 57, 58 is when we actually started recording music. And Jamaicans have contributed significantly. If you look at where the current music is, you have people like Coffee, who is out there blazing a trail.
Protege, Chronics.
I just want to hold her in the first instance. If you look at the quality of the material that she has been putting up, again, people like Protege, Lila Ike, as you just pointed out.
Pyramid.
These are, artists who are taking the music out there in their own way, in their own right, and this is current music. You look at the traditional people, right?
Veterans like Burning Hammond and Burning Spear still doing music.
But before we even reach Beres Hammond, you look at a Burning Spear that came into the business from 1965, right? That's
almost
a small amount.
Almost 60 years in the business.
Where were they? Where what? 22,
Yep.
50 odd years, see?
Yeah.
And so here is a country who have produced all of these people. Mali, whose music is legendary, circle the globe multiple times.
Yes,
And
to
then-
talk about Marley Richie. This morning, for the first time, I saw the preview for the new Black Panther that's coming out. And it started out with a Bob Marley song. It was sung in kind of like an a cappella lounge style, you know,
What
or
was the song?
acoustic. I don't remember, but all I know is Marley win again.
But that is the kind of impact that we have had as a small little space that you can barely find on the map. But we have had this kind of impact on the on global music. And then you turn around and tell me that we're asking people to write some festival songs, and you have 220 odd entries, but you can't find 10 songs. I think that was a huge slap in the face. Thank God the good sense, common sense prevailed, and we seem to have walked around it. But again, it's kind of a disrespect to the effort, if you will.
No Woman No Cry. That was the song.
How can you forget that?
Virgin.
But anyway, so I'm asking the listeners out there, go out, support the songs, Go where you can, purchase, vote in the contest, and if the songs are good enough, they will last the test of time. Look at, we just played all the songs we played in the first hour of the program. Most of those songs are over 25, 30 years.
50 years.
And they have stood
the test of time. Yes.
So let the people speak to that. We shouldn't be suppressing people's efforts, because the whole idea behind these festivals is to bring new players, to provide exposure. The contest is not exactly a rich contest. It's I think it's $3 million is the prize, where $1 million goes to the singer, $1 million to the writer, and $1 million to the producer of the song, or something of the sort. I believe that, and remember, you're only gonna have the top three is who's
Yes.
gonna get paid.
Yes.
So it's not a particularly expensive competition. I think to attract the kind of talent you're looking for, or to find talent, we really want to hold these carrots out there and encourage people to come in and think. Our job is, let's encourage the people to go out there and support the songs. Go to the live performances. I think they're gonna have I think there's 2 shows lined up to do the promotion of these songs. And in Jamaica, go down there and go and enjoy.
Yeah, and bring back the street dance.
That is, I would hope the organizers are looking at street dance,
Because that is the hallmark of festival.
and
The
that's how you
street
promote
dance.
the thing. Yes,
The street dance. Every major town, and if you have 2 major towns in a parish, like in Manchester, you had Christian and Mandeville, do it in Christian, or just the one in Mandeville,
we should be able to have a street dance
in
in
every parish, every capital of every parish.
Absolutely, and if the parish big enough and can put up the funds,
Yes.
the
2.
you're the 2.
Or 3 street dance.
The other thing is, you don't have to depend on the government for do this. The private sector can come into,
Virgin,
and
much wealthy people in these these
listen, man,
towns.
we can, if you have a big supermarket where you take the people their money every day, you must be able to get up and you spend a little $2 million, put up a little street dance.
Instead of supporting an artist, not really going away the scammer them,
Yeah. I know, some Magic soon plug you out of the thing, You man a big up scam up on the program, Magic.
How big them up. We tell them, so instead of use the money and buy champagne and wash your hand at your brethren party.
And wash your car.
Yeah, and wash your car. Do a street dance. And make the artists come earn some money and Miss
let me put it another way.
Miss Maisie Bar sell a couple more beer.
It no matter whether you get where your money come from.
Because again, Richie, when you have a street dance, the local economy benefits.
Now you're talking. Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yawdmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.